Hey guys, Kev here, and I want to do my full review on the WE Knives Miscreant 3.0. And this knife was sent to me by way of the Apex Pass Around group. And big thank you to WE for sending this knife around to all of us to check out. I'm one of the last ones to check it out. It's been out for a while, guys. But nonetheless, we are here. And this is an interesting one because when I unboxed it and when I did the first impressions, I sort of didn't like it. I basically stated that it just didn't work for me, whatever. But having had some time with it to carry it, to use it, to, lightly, obviously, I actually really like this knife. I still have some small nitpicks and such, but for a flipper-only knife, I think this is very well done. So yeah, that's interesting to me because usually, if I don't like something right away, it usually stays that way or gets worse. But in this case, it went the opposite direction. So what we have is titanium scales with speed holes, which again, that's not my thing, but I do think they did a great job with it, the way they have the silver accents inside there. I like the two-tone kind of look with the black and silver. Deep carry clip. We'll get to that, but that is a little bit of a gripe for me right there, not having a recessed clip. I think the scale was just too thin for that. The overall knife is very thin. I mean, if we look at the frame lock, titanium frame lock Nomad here, it's almost as thin as that, maybe is as thin as that, which is impressive because this is a super thin knife. Speaking of materials, they're the same. Titanium, M390, titanium, and 20 CB. So the price point on this one's going to be a lot higher, right? This knife's going to be, probably $230, something like that. I still haven't looked that up. Doesn't really matter. We all know it's going to be in that price range, 230, 250-ish probably. I'd be surprised if it was under 200, but I could be wrong. And I think that price point's okay. 230 or whatever. Titanium, 20 CV, we made. It kind of makes sense, right? But anyway, those are the materials. Aesthetic. So let's get into the whole, different aspects of the knife that I like to get into. I did actually just take this apart and put it back together. There was a rust spot on it when I got it. The guy before me who had it was Ray from Everyday City Carry. When he got it, he said it had a little bit of a rust spot right up here on the blade, and I said I could get it out when I get it. He did have it for a while after that, so luckily we didn't get any pitting. So a little bit of discoloration from when I used the rust eraser there. I also went... So then today, to try to help with that, I went and put Flitz polish on the blade to clean it off, and I was hoping that would kind of bring the color back, the finish to even, and it did a really good job. It's pretty hard to notice that spot, and honestly, there's other spots on the blade that are like that, so it may not even be from me using that rust eraser. I think maybe that's why that spot rusted. But it is sort of a bead blast, so that's one reason it could rust. I'm not a big fan of a bead blast. But anyway, I did that, and I accidentally got Flitz polish like all in here and on the blade in there, and I couldn't clean it out with air and everything, and I just felt bad. I didn't want to send it on with possibly having like Flitz inside the pivot and everything, and I don't know what that would do to it, just sitting on there long term. So anyway, I took it apart, and I cleaned it out and everything, and got it tuned up, and it's perfectly fine. It went back together perfectly fine, no issues. But I want to state on camera, if we gets this back and there's some kind of an issue with it, it's probably on me, and I will cover whatever fees or buy the knife or whatever, right? Just want to put that out there for them. Anyway, it went back to 100% dead center. The pivot dropped back to perfect. Everything's good. So anyway, aesthetically, I actually really like the aesthetic of this knife. I've said before, I am a fan of Brad Zinker. He is the designer on this knife. Maybe you can see it right there. BZ. That's the only marking on the knife other than the tiny little 20 CV mark that's in some white sort of ink that you can't even see anywhere. I don't even know where it is, but I saw it. Oh, there it is. It's down on the flipper tab. You're never going to see that because my camera will not focus that. But anyway, I like the look of the knife overall. I like the design. I actually like the really rectangular handle. It's grown on me. I do not like the speed holes, but I'm wondering how would it look without them? Would it look kind of weird? So I don't know. Maybe I do like the speed holes, and I like that they're silver. I kind of just wish they were smaller because I don't like speed holes where I can push my finger almost all the way in. Like, I can feel the blade, you know. Now, there's no cutting edge. Well, I guess there is down there. I might be able to, you know, I don't think it'd be an issue. But then you have your clip, and obviously when you have holes in a handle like this, you're asking for lint and shit to get in there. And it could just cause issues, and it doesn't look great to me. So you already have the little holes here, and then you got these huge holes. So overall, that's not my favorite, but it's grown on me to where I'm cool with it. Like, it's fine, right? I love, love, love how the whole blade fits into that handle seamlessly, almost flush. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love that. I love the drop point blade. Absolutely fantastic. Brad Zinker's drop points are my favorite, probably. So overall, that's awesome. Aesthetically, I like it. I don't love the bead blast. A satin would be nicer, in my opinion. But it does look okay. Wee does a good job with that. It's just annoying. Because it can rust quicker and maybe not the best looking thing, right? Yeah, so that's really it for aesthetics, right? I mean, what else is there? The clip looks fine. It does come up a bit, but it does have a plateau, so you actually don't feel it. So let's get into ergos then. Oh, I also like the garage stop pin. So you can see the stop pin is seated like right here. And then as she comes out, it locks up back there. And then it rotates all the way through. And I just like how the stop pin is. So you can see them sticking out right there, the stop pins. Or whatever you want to call them. Blade stops, internal. I love that design. But yeah, so ergonomics, it's a very rectangular handle, very neutral, but it works. I mean, it really does. I wish it was a little bigger, but it works. It is big enough for me. I mean, it's probably a 3-inch blade. That's kind of Brad Zinker, Ray Laconico. That's kind of their thing, is like a 3-inch blade. We can check because I know the Arian here, the small Arian, is 3 inches. So, yeah, it's almost dead on the same size overall, the knife. Maybe get the tiniest bit more blade on the Arian here. But 3 inches is cool. But it fits my hand pretty well. You know, this pinky is close, but it's on there, all four. You can sort of choke up like this. This does work. I wouldn't do hard kind of stuff with that. If you're doing a simple cut or whatever, this works perfectly fine. You know, I'm not a big fan, again, of the ergos with the holes everywhere. You feel them, kind of, the outlines of them and everything. But again, it works. The clip doesn't get in the way. It's very deep carry. Almost goes past the handle. Feels good in hand. I got to give them that. Carry, again, you have that deep carry clip. And, you know, this thing just pops in your pocket. Boom. Disappears. I mean, it literally disappears. And it comes out easy. That little piece that's not flush, I did not have issues with it on this knife. I never had it catch or anything. I usually like it to be recessed, but it worked. If it doesn't catch or cause issues, it's hard for me to fault it. You know, they had to do it to cut costs or because the scale was too thin. So, you know, they went with it, but they made sure the clip worked anyway and didn't need an extra push into the pocket like Kubi's do. So I'm fine with it, right? Yeah, so that's carry. It's super lightweight, obviously. Weighs nothing. Titanium and 20 CV with a bunch of holes in it. Lots of weight relief. One benefit to the speed holes right there. Cutting. So didn't do a lot just because, again, this is a pass-around knife. I don't know how many people have had this before me, at least 7 or 8. I don't know how much they've cut with it. You know, it's kind of an unwritten rule, or maybe it's a written rule in the pass-around that, you know, when companies send these knives in, we're not supposed to beat them up, right? But in terms of everyday carry cutting ability, this is fantastic. You have a full flat grind. It's made by WE, guys. WE just does an excellent job with their grinds. They always come down to a pretty thin edge, and they usually cut really well right off the factory edge, and they don't, you know, wear out that quickly, in my opinion. And this is 20 CV, so you're going to get good edge retention. You know, it did have that rust spot, but again, it went through like 8 people's hands, and we don't know where it was. You know, and it came right out. So there's that, but the bead blast obviously doesn't help that. But that has nothing to do with cutting, Kev. So cutting's good, guys. Cutting's solid. It's an everyday carry knife. You know, it'll do all those tasks that a 3-inch blade can handle. You know what I mean? That's pretty much the short and the sweet of it when it comes to that. I don't do anything that requires like specialty fucking types of edges or whatever. Like, I just open packages, cut paper, cardboard, cut fruit, you know, cut string, cut rope, cut weed whacker cord, cut whatever I need to cut, a string off of something, you know, random shit. My mom might take the knife and cut up some fruit for my kid, or open something or whatever. But to me, that's everyday care. That's EDC stuff. For me. You know, your EDC might involve fucking chopping concrete. I don't know. But for me, as an EDC, this is plenty of blade, and it does the job very well. So cutting, I think, is great. Sounds. So you're a little bit subdued, I'd say, because of all the speed holes. You know, the acoustics are dulled down a little bit, but still, to me, it has a good thwack out and a good click down. So I'd call it a 6 out of 10. You know, it's definitely average, maybe a little bit better, and I have no problems with it. So, you know, it's not like, ooh, remember that Miscreant? That sounded amazing. Okay, but it's definitely sounding good. Action, guys. And to me, this is where this knife shines. This is where it grew on me. This flipper tab is just fantastic. This detent, we did it again. Dialed the detent perfectly. Push button, money. Light switch, money. You know, you can do the push lightning, whatever you want to do. Can I fail it? Yeah, it looks like I can. Huh. Well, you can fail it, but honestly, never even crossed my mind. It flicks out every time. I mean, I'm just giving it a good pull, and she bangs out. I mean, I'm not really, like, going crazy here. I don't even know how I was failing it. Yeah. It's not an issue, guys. It's just one of those knives you can fail if you want to, right? But if I don't want to, it's snappy. I mean, if I give it that, what I like to do is put my finger right on that last little bit of jimping and just push down. And it freaking fires out. You know? So I have had no issues with that detent. And then the closing action, after taking it apart, tuning all that stuff, bounces off my nail. Couple of shakes down. I mean, we're talking about a good detent and a 3-inch lightweight blade. So you're not going to have false shut action. It's going to be a shaker. But, you know, it's money. I mean, it feels really good having it drop off your nail like that. And then you just bop it home. Absolutely a pleasure to fidget with. You know, the only downside is what? It doesn't have a hole for me to flick. It doesn't have another deployment method, you know. That's important to me these days. But I also go through runs of flipper knives, you know. One of my favorite flipper knives right now is the Pena Apache with the kickstop. And I'll be honest, this knife is almost as satisfying to play with. It just has a satisfying feel to it when you're flicking and closing it. So yeah, it's a pleasure. Value-wise, again, I think it's worth whatever they're charging. Sorry, I don't know an exact number. It's probably around $220. I think it's beautiful. I think it has great action. I think it has great materials. I think it's put together well. I think it cuts excellently. I think it has pretty good ergos, and I think it has a fantastic clip, and it carries extremely well. So do I recommend it? Yeah, I fucking recommend this thing. I recommend it to everybody. Left-handed, I had no issues. Now, it doesn't have a lefty clip, but it works left-handed. So if you're like me and you carry stuff in your back left pocket that's right-handed, you're going to be fine. Or if you carry it right-handed, even though you're lefty, some people do that. I wouldn't recommend carrying it in your front left pocket. I never recommend that with a righty knife, just because something could get caught, it could pop open. But this is one of those knives that it would be tough because the detent's pretty good. You're not going to just shake it out. And, you would have to somehow have that flipper tab deploy in your pocket. Like, it would have to really, get pushed and, because the blade isn't sticking out at all. So you're not going to accidentally catch something and open the blade. But again, I would not do it. I would not recommend it. But to each their own. So yeah, guys, that's the WE Knives Miscreant 3.0. She grew on me, and I ended up really liking this knife to the point where if I get the opportunity, like in a trade or, there's a big sale or I don't know, something like that, I think I might pick one of these up. I just think it's a really cool knife. It's unique. It's Brad Zinker. I don't have any of his stuff right now. Just haven't found anything that vibes with me perfectly, even though I love his design language. But this does. This does. So that's the Miscreant 3.0. Big shout out to the Apex Pass Around group for sending this guy around. Shout out to WE for sending it in. You guys are doing a great job right now. I'm coming around to WE, guys. They're starting to fire on all cylinders for me anyway. I'm getting the good ones again, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I love you guys. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will catch you later.